The setup part 2 is coming, and I didn't see this coming. The biggest face off is coming up, and guess the new face that has been introduced, Nancy Ismay. Yes, the setup part 2 is coming to our screens, and for those of you who don't know what the setup is one of the biggest, most talked about movies in the year 2019. This is a movie that made people fall in love with Adesua Etomi all over again. And yes, let me take you back into what the setup part 1 had for us. The story is a story of two young girls who got saved by a con artist from being arrested by the US government for drug trafficking. They decide to work for this madam, and one of these girls was tasked with the responsibility of getting her friend, the madam's friend, to get married to the daughter of a socialite. And little did she realize, or little did she know, that this was a setup to send her to jail and let her madam have everything for herself. Interestingly, the madam was able to achieve this by getting one of the girls to betray the other. And of course, it was a big time betrayal because this was somebody who had saved you, who had come to your aid when you were being sold out by your own parent. And you now, because you have to be saved, or you have to save yourself, you then have to betray your friend, who you practically call your sister. Now the whole story turns around, and this is a story that gives a clear display of genius intelligence. This was not the regular storyline. Like, it was Hollywood standard for me when I watched it then. And looking back and hearing that there is going to be a part 2 of the setup, which I didn't expect, I definitely know that this is one that has more juicy spice for us this August. So the part 1 had characters like Adesua Etomi, who played character of Iyke, was the main character. It had Kehinde Bankole, who played a character of Grace, the best friend or sister of Iyke, Adesua Etomi. And then we had Dakore Egbuson Akande, who played a character of Muturayo. Muturayo was the socialite that was involved in this whole web game. And Ayoola, who played the character of Muturayo's brother. And his character was a rather very interesting one. And then we had Joke Silva, who was the mother. And then we had Jim Iyke, who was the uncle, who had to play a setup that he wanted to marry Muturayo, deceiving Iyke, Adesua Etomi, and yes, leading to her arrest and all that. So now in the part 2, a new face has been introduced, Nancy Ismay. Now looking at the trailer that is going around, I'm seeing a lot of Nancy versus Adesua, and I'm asking myself two things involved. Now when you watch the part 1, it ended after Adesua had been able to win over her enemies, backfired all their schemes, and eventually getting away with what they really wanted for her. She gets the opportunity, or she gets the opportunity to be able to use her 5 years to be able to train with the FDI in the US, and as part of her 20-year sentence. This means she's definitely coming out as a detective. Now, two things. I'm just expecting in the part 2 that Adesua Etomi is going to unravel some schemes of Nancy Ismay. Nancy Ismay, in the sense that probably Nancy Ismay is going to be somebody that is going to take over the academy of the academy of the madam, because I have a feeling that somebody in there is going to continue with her schemes, and this time it will be Adesua Etomi trying to do good and bring out the negative ills of Nancy, probably. Now, another thing that came to mind was the fact that what if Nancy Isime happens to be the assumed dead daughter of Enitan? And I think about it, I'm like, no, no, this can be. But these people are capable of anything. What if we are told eventually that when she fell, yes, the baby didn't die, the 3-year-old baby didn't die, and blah 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 blah. I just have these thoughts coming to mind that what if Nancy happens to be the daughter of any? I think that could be true. Like, yeah, anything is possible. If she happens to be the daughter of Enitan, that means that Nancy Isime is going to take after her mother, and it will be the turn of Adesua Etomi to make sure that Nancy doesn't continue with her evil deeds. Gosh, I can't wait for part 2 that is showing in all cinemas on the 12th of August 2022. Okay, so going back to the part 1, I love the fact that they were able to give us a backstory of every one of the characters. Watching the movie, you just have too many questions and you keep asking yourself why the characters act the way they do. And thankfully, as the story unfolds, they tell us a backstory of every character and why they act the way they do. So you get to understand a lot of things, and eventually most of your questions are answered. Yes, there were a lot of others that weren't, but yes, most of my questions were answered. And yes, I love that part. The skill of, or the whole idea of having to give everybody's backstory to us. I think we deserve to know, and yes, we really needed to know why what happened and why what happened, because there were points where I was lost to that. Why would Grace do such a thing? Why would she betray her friend, only for us to see the backstory and realize that this is not what actually happened, and that this is something Adesua planned, and she's in the known, and she decided to go along with the plan of Enitan, their madam. I love this story. Oh my, it is a story of a typical display of intelligence and smartness. This is a movie that goes in a certain way that you wonder, you wonder how these people were able to pull up such a thing. Most of the times we watch most movies and we're like, how can humans be so dumb? But after watching this movie, you really feel like this is reality, and it's very hard to see through what will happen next, because everything seems to be a mystery, just like life is a mystery. So the storyline is not one that is so easy to predict, because at some point, especially after the point where you realize that, oh, now it is a ploy. So then you realize that, okay, so this is what happened. One thing is, you don't easily tell what is going to happen next. When I heard that Motorayo is dead, I believed it myself. Most movies I'll watch, I would not believe that Motorayo is dead. I'll be able to see through the whole scheme. I'll be able to see through everything that, oh, this is a ploy. This is a scam or something. But after watching that particular scene, I was like, she really died. Like, I was really moved, and I technically believe these people, only to find out that it was all part of the plan. I was like, damn, you people had me fooled. Yes, Adesua did a good one with her character in the movie. Her character in the part 1 was one that was not anything less of the Adesua we knew at the time. And yes, I'm hoping she does even better in the part 2. One thing I didn't really like was the fact that the lady they used to represent Adesua in her secondary school age was one that they could have done way, way, way better. I'm not saying she she couldn't even look like that. But come on, this is a lady they picked that was a bit fatter than Adesua and had bigger boobs than Adesua. Are you trying to tell me that as you grow up, your boobs get smaller? And this is not somebody that had even got married. This is somebody that was still very young, and you're using somebody to represent her in her secondary school age, and the person had bigger boobs than she did. And I kept saying these people could have done better. They could have gotten somebody way slimmer, or at least who didn't have so much of everything. Because I watched again and then I compared the Adesua secondary to the Adesua in her mid 20s or 30s, and I'm like, where did the boobs go? Where did the ass go? Are you trying to tell me as you grow older, it shrinks? This is not somebody that had grown old like a grandma. It was so not real. But aside that, yet I love the story. There were a few hitches, but the main focus is the fact that part 2 of the setup is coming. So yes, as I stated earlier about my expectations of the part 2, I'm just hoping this time the opposing force is going to be Nancy Isime, but in as much as I have a strong feeling she might be the dead or the presumed dead daughter of Enitan, I'm just hoping that is not the case, because if that is, then this woman is going to bring in more fire. The gangster Nancy Isime we know is not going to do anything less than that. Definitely we're going to watch this setup part 2 come August 12. We are going to watch it and we'll come back to talk about it. The name still remains Mami Amnapukia. Kindly hit the subscribe button and let's grow this channel. I'm out.